Korea, America, cultural differences. I lived in Korea for over 10 years. I'm not American, I'm Canadian, but I feel like I can still chime in. And I found an interesting video that I'm gonna check out and react to today. Let's jump into the video.
So obviously there's a lot of cultural differences between the States and Korea. And I don't know whether to call them manners really, or this is just differences. But there's some that I find like particularly rude, even though I don't think Koreans are trying to be rude. It just feels so rude to me.
It's very true. Koreans do a lot of things that foreigners, even me to this day, I find it extremely rude. But in their culture, it's not rude. So you just kind of gotta deal with it.
As someone that grew up in the States, the first one is there's no excuse me. Like no one ever feels weird when they completely just walk in front of you.
It's a move, bitch. Get out the way situation in Korea. Listen, no one says excuse me here. People push here. And the ajumas, the older women here, undefeated. Can't be beat. Jordan in the finals. Mike Tyson in his prime. Money Mayweather. 50-0. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win.
Whether you're at the grocery store or at a coffee shop when they're trying to reach across from you, they never say, excuse me, sorry. They just go right in front of you.
The reason for this though is Korea has a personal space. The concept of personal space is completely different from what we have in Western culture. Because our land is so big and vast, we have personal space, personal bubbles. Korea has a population much bigger than Canada. Canada is the second biggest country in the world, right? And their population is about 50 million more people than Canada in a very small confined space. So the concept of personal space is different, and they're very quick. The culture here is very fast. So they're not trying to waste words and time to say excuse me or pardon me. They're just gonna give you a little elbow or do what you gotta do, and everybody just kind of agrees to it.
Even when you're on public transportation, when they're trying to get past you, either to go out the door or whatever, they just go. You don't say sorry, excuse me. There's none of that. Another one is holding doors. In general, Koreans just don't hold doors for anyone. So if you're walking behind someone, the door will just slam right in your face.
This is so true that when I hold doors, people feel uncomfortable. When I hold doors for people, they'll give me a bow and say, oh, thank you, or saying, oh, kamsahamnida. And in America, it'll just be thanks, and it's normal. But Koreans are so not used to it, they kind of overreact when you do it for them because they're not used to it. And they think it's such a gentleman act of chivalry when you do it in Korea. So I find that part pretty cool, but it's true. I got the door slammed on my nose plenty of times.
And that one, it still feels really rude to me. And especially when I have the kids with me, or my hands are full.
That sucks.
You would think that the person ahead of you, open the door, would hold it for you, especially
kids. No kid zone in Korea. Come on. Unfortunately, Korea not about the kids anymore. They're not about the kids anymore. Unfortunately.
If you have two kids in scooters or whatever, not the case.
That sucks.
The only exception is maybe if it's an older 할머니 or 할아버지, older grandma or grandpa, they might hold the door for you. And I've also found that if you hold the door for other Koreans, typically they're kind of confused, or it makes them feel uncomfortable.
It does. That's why I like doing it sometimes.
Which is just kind of funny, and that just shows the difference between the two cultures. And then another one that it just pisses me off still so much is that there's no yielding to pedestrians here.
You will die. I'm not even joking. You will die. You will. A car will fold your kneecaps like a tent here, like a bad tent. It will happen. Do not play around with the cars in Korea. This is one of the reasons I don't drive in Korea, because the driving culture here is ridiculous. And when it comes to crossing the street, my brother lived here for a year, and he's super sensitive with that. And when I talk to him on the phone and he figures out that I'm outside, he'll be like, okay, yo, just focus on walking. I'll call me back later. Just be careful out there, man. Those drivers are kind of crazy, man. And unfortunately, he's right. Especially in Busan. Don't drive in Busan.
Like, even in our little small neighborhood of Seoul, even when I have kids and you're going to cross the street, if a car is approaching and you're right there, like, the car has the right of way. And even if you're crossing the street and you're like almost at the other side, a car won't even like wait for you to finish. Like, it's just gonna go.
This is very true, unfortunately. So, and you'll see kids are actually taught by their parents and by the schools that when they cross the street to like lift up their hand and kind of like cross the street so the cars can see them. Is actually quite cute. But the cars are not gonna stop for you. Here's another thing why I always say about Korea. You can change the laws and the fines and the rules or whatnot, but it takes culture a very long time to change. So actually, if a pedestrian is hit at a crosswalk, like where the zebra lines are, no matter what, it is the car's fault and they will be at fault, but you'll be hurt. But it doesn't really matter because pedestrians still yield to cars and cars have this in their brain, so they're not programmed to stop. Here's what I do. I don't suggest you do this, but here's what I do. I notice that cars will stop when they know you know they're coming. So when I cross the street, I just look straight. I don't look right, I don't look left. I did prior to make sure it's clear. And I can just see at the corner of my eyes where the cars are. But they will stop if they know you haven't seen them. But if you look at the car and crossing the street, you're gonna get knocked. Like, it's gonna be a game of chicken and you don't wanna do that. But I find that they will yield to you if you kind of signal to them subconsciously, like, I didn't see you. But I don't recommend it because you will get folded. Like cheap chairs at the end of the night. Like, you will get folded here. So be careful when you're crossing the streets in Korea. Let me know about your country, some cultural differences, and let me know in the comments below if you live in Korea. Is this true or not true? My name is Ade. I lived in Korea for over a decade. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Bye for now.